Okay, so let's go over the homework. Okay, so let's start with number 1. Okay, so does anyone have the answer? So we're going over the homework right now. First problem. So does anyone have the answer?
It's RD8.
Yeah, so rook d8, right?
RD8, yeah.
Yeah, so rook d8 is a double check. The
Where's
rook
my
and
feet?
the white rook and the white bishop and the black king at the same time. And it's actually checkmate. Black king can't go anywhere, right? Black king can go to c8 or c7. And the black king is in check.
Why?
Everyone, 1 second. So let's go over number 2. So does anyone have the answer for number 2?
A bishop takes
Bishop F.
yeah.
Bishop F7.
Yeah, so bishop takes f7. So bishop takes f7, that's a discovered attack, right?
Yeah.
So we're basically unleashing an attack on this black queen on h4. So after bishop takes f7, black can't move his queen because he's in check, right? So if black takes like rook takes f7 or king takes f7, white goes queen takes h4 and he wins queen. So yeah, bishop takes f7 is the correct answer. Okay, let's go to number 3. Number 3 is probably the hardest of the 5 problems. So does anyone have the answer?
Does bishop go bishop goes g6.
Queen to h8. Queen to h8.
Okay, so bishop g6 is the correct answer. If white goes queen h8, then black's just going to go king e7, and the black king escapes, right? So what we're trying to do here, what white's trying to checkmate. So queen h8 allows the black king to escape to e7, and then d8, c8, or c7, or something like that. So yeah, bishop g6 is the correct answer. So what we're doing is, we're threatening checkmate on f7, right? We're threatening queen takes f7, which is checkmate. And black can't take white's bishop because the black pawn on f7 is pinned. So after bishop g6, black's only move to stop checkmate is rook e7. And then white goes queen h8, and this is checkmate. So the correct move order is bishop g6, and then after rook e7, queen h8, which is checkmate. Okay, so everyone understood that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go to number 4. Okay, so does anyone have the answer to number 4?
ND6.
Okay, so I don't think anyone has the answer, but the correct answer is bishop f5. Okay?
I know.
So with bishop f5, what we're doing is we're basically forking the black king and black queen. So after bishop f5, black just moves his king somewhere, king b8 or king d8. Then we just take the black.
Can't the queen take the bishop?
Yeah,
But
so
the
after
knight takes
queen takes f5, then white goes knight takes d6. And now what he's doing is he's forking the black king and the black queen again. And after the black king moves, then white plays knight takes f5. And he just wins the black queen. So the move order is bishop f5, and then after queen takes f5, knight takes d6, and then we basically just win black's. Okay, and then let's go to number 5.
Bishop c4.
Yeah, so this one was probably the easiest one. So we just go bishop c4. What we're doing is basically we're skewering black's queen and rook, right? So if black just moves his queen somewhere, then we just take black's rook, and after the queen takes, we're just up 2 pawns in a queen endgame. So we're winning in that position. Okay, so everyone understood the homework, right?
Yes.
Okay. One second, everyone. Okay. Okay, so let's go over some more openings. So basically what I'm doing is we're basically just going over some openings, and basically you can choose which ones you want to play in your real games. I think I said this last class too. So let's go over the London system. So this opening is called the London system. And if you don't know what the opening means, so the opening is basically the starting moves of the game. Okay, so that's what the opening is, and this opening is called the London system. So we go d4, d5, and we go bishop f4. So what bishop f4 it does is it puts white's dark sword bishop on this diagonal, right? Basically brings out white's bishop, and it controls e5 as well. So some downsides to this is that white's bishop could be attacked in the future, and black can play e6. So some ideas for black are e6 and c5, right? Trying to gain more control of the center. Or you can just play knight f6. So knight f6. C5 is also another possible move here. So this is basically like a queen's gambit like reversed, right? Because usually white's the one that plays c4. But in this case, black is the one that plays this kind of setup over here of the d and c pawns. But this is an okay move, but it opens up white's bishop even more, right? So it opens up even more.
And what if we actually take the pawn? Is there a problem with that?
Yeah, so white could take this pawn. But usually white can't hold on to this pawn. So like I said last week about the queen's gambit, usually you don't want to take. I mean, you can take the pawn, but usually it doesn't offer any advantage for black. So it's kind of the same thing here. But taking the pawn, black can go knight c6, you can go knight c6, or you can go e6, right? Maybe knight c6 and then e5. So black basically has compensation for that pawn, and he can usually win this pawn. Usually.
So white gets a material advantage and
Yeah,
black gets
temporarily, temporarily. And sometimes black just gets compensation for pawns.
yeah, black just gets
Yeah, so let's go back to our main line. So knight f6 and knight f3. So both sides brought their knights out to control the center. Right? So both sides, they have similar ideas. So like moving the c pawn to white can go c4, black can go c5, and black can go e6. And the center is pretty well controlled by both sides here. So this is just one opening that you can use in your own games if you want. Okay, so let's go over another opening. So this is called the Scandinavian defense. It's played by black. So e4 and d5. So this is the Scandinavian defense. So basically the idea here is to attack this e4 pawn, right? So it's to attack this e4 pawn. So white can go, usually white plays e takes d5. That's probably the best move. And black goes queen takes d5. So knight f6 is another move here. So black is trying not to bring his queen out too early, right? And he's attacking this e5 pawn. But queen takes d5 usually is another main move. And white goes knight c3. So white develops a knight and also attacks the queen, right? So he's taking advantage of black's queen, black's exposed queen. So usually black doesn't go to d8, which gives white a lead in development. And he doesn't move it to d7 either. If he moves it to d7, it blocks this. It blocks.
Can you move the black bishop to g4? G4.
In which position?
What?
In which position? Because if he moves bishop g4, then white can just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So after knight c3, black's main move, the main line, is queen a5. Okay, so it gets the queen out of the way, and you can see all these arrows that there are a lot of ideas over here. So white can go knight f3, d4, bishop c4, a3 to prevent maybe something like bishop b4. And black usually goes something like knight c6, knight f6. If white goes knight f3, for example, bishop g4 is a possibility. So there are a lot of moves here. There are a lot of possible moves.
Wait, can't you move the bishop to C? What? C5?
Not in this position because.
No, B5, B5. Then it'll be check.
Oh, do you mean white's bishop to b5?
Yeah.
Okay, then black just can play c6.
Oh.
Bishop g5 doesn't really accomplish anything, so it's probably not that good of a. But yeah, this is the Scandinavian defense. This is also another tool you can use in your games. And now let's go to the Sicilian defense. So this is probably one of the most. It's highly played by a lot of people as black. So e4 and then c5, right? So the reason black plays this opening is to prevent white from playing d4 and controlling the center. So he's controlling the center with this side pawn here instead of one of his own center pawns. So usually in the opening, you want to retain your center pawns, right? You don't want to give them away because they're really valuable in controlling the center. So black's controlling the center with the side pawn in order to retain his two center pawns. So usually in the Sicilian, white will attack the king side and black will attack towards the queen side. So if you didn't know, this side of the board over here is the king side, and this side of the board is the queen side. So usually white attacks on the king side, black attacks on the queen side. So knight f3 is usually played here, and knight c6. So there are actually a lot of moves here, like d6, d2. I'd say d6 is the most common move. Okay, so black controls the dark squares. He supports his on c5. Right. And one drawback of this is that black kind of blocks his dark square bishop, right? So usually what black does is he goes g6 and bishop d7 to control this diagonal. Okay. And there are a lot of possible moves here, like g6. This is called the dragon Sicilian. E6, a6 is called the knight or Sicilian. So there are a lot of possible moves here in this position. Black can even go knight c6, bishop d7, e5, or a6. We said it was the Najdorf. What happens when white goes d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4? Okay, so black goes one move here after e4, c5, knight f3 is black can go knight c6. So he controls the d4 and e5 squares, and white can play d4. So c takes d4, knight takes d4, and play goes on from here. So in this position, black can develop his kingside pieces, and one black is that his queenside bishop is.
Okay. Okay. Get it.
Let's look at some opening principles. Let's look at this. Okay, so we're going to be talking. So in the opening, usually you want to, almost all the time, you want to develop your pieces, and you don't want to make too many pawn moves. So in the opening, it's important to develop your pieces, right? Hold the center, and to get all your pieces out and active in the game. So let's just see an example of this. So white goes e4, e5, knight 3, knight c6, bishop e4, bishop c5. So this is a standard opening, right? And sides are following this opening principle. The knight sides castle to bring their king to safety, and both sides bring out their bishops. And play can go from here. So you can see that both sides have developed their pieces and have not made any useless pawn moves, right? So this is just a hypothetical example of how to do this. Okay, and now let's look at another opening. So another opening principle, and you might have heard this before, but basically you don't want to move the same piece twice in the opening. So we'll see an example how moving the same piece twice is can get you in really big trouble. So let's see. E4, 5, knight 3, knight c6. Both sides are making. So you can see here already that black has developed his dark sword bishop once and he's doing it twice. Maybe not a good thing to do. Knight c3, bishop d4. So you can see that black keeps on moving his dark sword bishop, right? And this will get him into serious trouble in the future. Now black's behind in development. So d3, because you can see that white has already castled, already brought out like 3 minor pieces. His 2 knights and his bishop, right? So, and all black has done is he's brought out his knight and his bishop, and that's it. White goes d3, bishop c5. So bishop e3, okay? Bishop takes e3, c3. And what this does is, when we play f takes e3, so right now this rook is blocked, right? Well, if we go f takes e3, now this rook is open. And you can see that white's bishop and white's rook are eyeing this f7 pawn. So if white could get his knight out of the way, then white could go bishop takes f7. Okay, so black goes knight f6, blocking this f file, and white goes knight g5. So you can see that white's like way ahead in development. So black hasn't castled yet, and that's why he's getting into trouble right now. Okay, so black castles now. So knight d5, knight takes, queen. So we're attacking this h7 pawn, or threatening mate. Black goes h6, knight takes, rook takes, bishop takes d5. Okay, and we can see that white's basically just completely winning here, right? He's so black's king is really like unsafe. So rook f8. So and we just won black's queen right now. So king takes, rook f1, and all these other moves are just showing how we're checkmating black. So the reason black got into so much trouble in this game is all because he kept on moving his black bishop in the beginning, right? So he got behind in development, so white was able to attack his king. So this is why, like for the most part, you shouldn't move the same piece twice in the opening.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, just asking, like, which side is like stronger in defense, like in chess, black or white?
Well, it depends on the player.
Let's say the two players were like the exact same, like smart, like they're like twins or something.
Okay, but that's not really like. I mean, different people play different moves, right? It's not like some people think the exact same way. So
It depends on the player's skill.
yeah.
Do
Yeah,
these
it depends on the player's skill and
No,
how.
even if players are of the same skill level, they can still play different moves and different ideas. So it's not really like, it's not
Every move and
practical
strategy
to
is
say
unique
something.
for every person.
Yeah.
do these openings only work for white?
No, there are a lot of black openings too. like we just said, like Sicilian defense, right? This is actually an opening that this is an opening black plays. And actually, it has the highest win rate for black, so this is a really good opening to use. The Sicilian defense, so e4 and then c5. Okay, so now we're just gonna I'm just gonna say some like general advice. So usually, so players of your skill level, usually, the reason why they lose games is because they blunder, right? So they make some mistakes and they fall prey to some tactic, and then they lose the game basically. So how to not blunder. So usually how to not blunder, so just double check your moves. So each move you're playing, just double check each move. And make sure you're playing chess moves for a reason. So don't just like randomly maneuver pieces around. Just make sure you're playing moves with some kind of plan in mind.
Just asking, what is
Yeah.
the strongest attack like for a black side that you know?
There's no specific like attack or anything. Like it just depends on the position. Like if you can attack black, the opposite king, then
Other
can.
thing, what is the best first move for black?
Well, I said that after if white plays e4, then I think c5 has actually the highest win rate for black. So this is a really good opening to use. But you can just play like whichever openings you like. You can play, if you want, you can play e5 or d5. You said this was Scandinavian, right? Or even knight f6 is even a move here also. d5 and e5 are really good, are probably the most played in response to e4. Okay. So yeah, to not blunder, just work on some tactics and make sure you're practicing, because that's like the best way to improve and reach like over 1,000 USCF, for example. Okay, so now let's go over some tactics concepts. Okay, so we're going to be talking about windmills. So this is a tactic concept. It's very rare, but it can happen, and it's when a player makes a series of checks that allows a piece to capture many other pieces. So this is a very famous position. So white goes. So first of all, you can see that the white bishop is pinned here, right? It's pinned down by this black queen to white's queen. So if white were to move this dark colored bishop, then black would just take this white queen and be queen up, right? So it's actually kind of like a counterintuitive move. So white goes bishop f6. So this allows black's queen to take white's queen. But white actually has a really good plan, a really good idea in mind. So he's using the windmill tactic. So white goes rook 7, black goes h8, and then we go rook takes f7. So black can go to g7 or h7. So his only moves, and he can't block this diagonal. So black's only move is king g8. Then white goes rook g7 again. Okay, and then black has to go back to h8. And rook takes b. So basically what we're doing here is we're forcing this black king to h8 square, and we're constantly performing this kind of discovery check in order to take all of black's pieces.
But when you kill the, excuse me.
Yeah.
But when you kill the pawn, can't the queen kill the rook?
Okay, so black's in check here. So
Oh.
he has to move his king. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a discovered attack. So basically, like right now, white's rook is blocking his bishop, right? But after rook takes, this is a discovered check. So if I kind of fast forward through this, you can see that white is just eating all of black's pieces. And then we go rook g5 here. King e7, we take black's queen. So we regained our queen back, but we also won a pawn and a bishop. So now we're just up a piece and we're winning. So black can try to go king g6, trying to like get his piece back, right? After rook h3, takes, rook takes. We're just white's just up 3 pawns here, so he's just winning the game. So just to kind of recap, so what white did here is he constantly forced his black king to his h8 square, and he performed a series of discovered checks, and he just took all of black's pieces. And eventually he was 3 pawns up and he won the game. Okay, so let's try windmill tactic. Let's try to solve one. So I'll put it on the screen and I want you guys to type it in the chat if you get the answer. And type it to me privately actually, so no one can see your answer. Okay. So it's white to move here.
Wait, what'd you say? Wait, what did you ask?
Yeah, I said this is just a tactic that I want you guys to solve. And
Okay.
if you get the answer, then type your answer in the chat to me privately.
Okay.
So it's white to move here. And actually, the answer is kind of like a series of moves. So I want you to type all of those for white. Yeah, so a lot of people are saying the correct first move, but I want you to kind of say the whole thing. So this is a tactic using the windmill concept. Okay, so I think a lot of people got the correct idea. So the correct answer is rook g2, or sorry, rook b7. And we're forcing this black king to this a8 square so that we can use a discovered check to basically take all of black's pieces. They go rook takes b4, king a7, rook b7. So we're forcing this black king back to this a8 square. King 8, takes b3, and we just keep on doing this over and over. And we're just a rook and a pawn up here, and we're just completely winning, right? But what we did here is we used this discovered check to take all black's pieces. Okay, so let's go over the next tactic concept. So this is called a perpetual check. So if you look at this position, black's just completely winning, right? So he says select up everything, and it seems like there's no hope for white. But white can play queen f8 here. So black's only move is king h7, and we go queen f7 back. So what we're doing here, okay, and black's only move is king h8. So what we're doing here is we just keep on checking the black king, and there's no end to the checks, right? So this is a draw. So basically, in this position, we're completely losing here, but you can actually save the draw. So we just keep on checking black's king, and there's no escape for black. So he just does this forever, and eventually, with the threefold repetition, game is a draw. So this is called a perpetual check. So perpetual means like never ending, right? So that's why it's called that. Okay, so let's do another tactic using this perpetual check concept. And once again, I want you guys to type the answer in the chat if you get the answer. It's white to move here, and he's trying to draw because he's down a rook.
White is moving, right? Or is it black?
Yeah, it's white to move. So let me just say that there's two kind of moves that stand out to perform the perpetual check, but actually only one of them is correct. So be careful in your calculations.
I want to ask a question.
Okay, what's your question?
When are we going to play the test game?
Yeah, it's gonna be at 5. It's gonna be in 24 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start to go over this. So the correct answer is, so there are two moves that stand out. So they're Queen E8 and Queen C8, right? So I think most people said either Queen C8 or Queen E8, but actually only one of them is correct. So Queen C8 is actually the correct move. So first, let's look at Queen E8 and let's see why this is not the correct answer. Black goes King H7, white goes Queen E4, is what most people said. So, but black can actually go G6 here. So he blocks this check, and there are no more checks for white. So white just ends up losing here because he's down a rook, and there are no more checks for white, right? So that's why Queen E8 isn't the correct answer. And the reason why Queen C8 is the correct answer is because white can go Queen F5, and if black goes G6, white can go Queen takes F7. So let's see. So after King H7, Queen F5. If black tries to go G6 now, then white can go Queen takes F7. Then these checks just go on forever, and the game is a draw. And instead of G6, white tries to go back here or here. Then we just go Queen C8 back, and this is just a draw, right? So this game is just. So I can just do this forever, and it's a draw. Okay. So let's go to the next tactic concept, which is regards the F7 and F2 squares. So the F2 square for white and the F7 square for black are often weak points in their position, because in the opening and even the middle game, they're only defended by the king, right? So they're often susceptible to checkmate or fork pattern or fork tactics. So in a famous example is Scholar's Mate, so also known as the 4-move checkmate. So e5, bishop c4, knight c6, h5, knight 6, and queen takes 7. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of you know this, and this is just an example of why f7 and f2 squares are so weak, because they're only yeah. So you can use these f7 and f2 squares to your advantage to try to win some material or to checkmate the opposing king. Okay, so let's do another. So as I'm like giving you guys these tactics, just keep in mind the tactic pattern that you're supposed to be using, and it'll solve you. It'll help you solve it faster. So let's do a tactic which involves these f7 and f2
I have
squares.
a question.
Yeah.
So if the opponent goes on the f2 and f7 squares, they'll get checkmate, right? So
Okay,
is there
not
any
always.
blockers?
So what I'm saying is that these squares are usually weak in the opening and middle games.
Is
But
there any block it?
is there any what?
Way to block it?
Yeah. Like for example, so white can go. I mean, sorry, black can go like knight f6 here to stop queen h5, right?
Yeah.
And black can even go like if he wants, he can go c6 and d5 to block this white bishop.
Can black go knight h6?
So knight h6 is possible, but it's not a good move because so you might have heard the saying for it saying it's like knights on the rim are dim, right? So usually you don't want to put your knights on the edges of the board. So for example, white could go like 4 here, and he's attacking this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like this is just something that can happen.
Can you move the pawn to g6? That's a block too, right?
On which position? You mean
The black pawn to g6.
like
But
here?
then wouldn't the bishop capture it?
Okay, so bishop capturing is not a good move. So you're basically just giving up a bishop for nothing, because if white tries to attack here, then there's no attack for white, and you've just given like a bishop for nothing. Okay, so let's go to our tactic now. Everyone, please mute your microphones. Okay. Okay, so it's white to move here, and I'll say that the first move that like pops out at you is probably not the best move. So try to be like ambiguous in this position, and
Are we gonna discuss some endgame moves today?
yeah, we will soon.
Okay.
I joined late.
Okay, so this session is being recorded right now, so I'll post the recording on Google Classroom, and you can watch.
Okay, wait. There's a Google Classroom for this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll post the code in the chat so you can join it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Where do you post these recordings?
What?
Where do you post the recordings except Google Classroom?
They're gonna be on YouTube as well. So
Oh.
Wait, so we're gonna be on YouTube?
yeah.
Cool.
I'm copying and pasting the code.
Yeah, I already did. So
Okay, thank you.
okay, so if anyone gets the answer to this tactic, then you can just type it in the chat. So like I said, the first move that jumps out at you is probably not, like in this position, it's not the best move. I mean, it's a good move, but it's not the best move. So
Good job, you have.
okay, so let's go over this. So it's kind of like 50-50 in the chat. So some people are saying knight takes f7, and some people are saying bishop takes. So first of all, so knight takes f7. This is a good move, okay, because it forks the black queen and the rook, right? But this isn't the best move here. So we can actually checkmate the black king. Okay, so bishop takes f7 is the best move. Yeah, so bishop takes f7 is the best move. So black can go to d7 or take white's bishop because of this knight on e5, right? So the only move is king e7 and knight e5 is checkmate. So black can't move anywhere.
I can't see the screen.
You should be able to. 1 second. Can you see it now?
No.
Can
I
everyone else see the screen?
I can.
I can.
Yeah.
I can see this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the
Yes,
screen.
yes.
I can see the screen.
Okay, so whoever said
I'm
they
not trying
can't
to
see
leave
it,
and come back.
yeah, leave and come back. Okay. So let's go to the next tactic concept. And this is one of the most okay. Okay, yeah, so this is one of the most useful to know because it's so common, so prevalent in a lot of games, right? So this is the back rank. Okay, does someone have a question? I think someone raised their hand. Okay. Okay, so the back rank is one of the most important ideas to understand in chess, okay? So often a player can deliver checkmate on the back rank with his or her rook or queen. Okay, whoever is raising their hand, can you just like type your question in the chat, or just say it out loud? Okay. Okay, so like I said, the back rank, usually you can deliver checkmate with your rook or queen. So here, I can go queen takes a7. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're basically like baiting this rook into taking this queen, so that we can deliver checkmate on the back rank. So if black plays rook takes a7, then we go rook c8, and after queen d8, d8, this is checkmate, right? So basically, black's king is blocked in by his own pawns, and white's king is controlling this whole rank, so it's checkmate. And if here after queen takes a7, if black does nothing, if he goes like a6 or something, then we're just up a rook in this position and we're winning, right? So yeah. Okay, so let's use a tactic. Let's try to solve a tactic using this notion of a back rank. Okay. So it's white to move here, and he's trying to checkmate using the back rank. Looking at this one.
Can we say it out loud?
Yeah, don't say it out loud.
All right.
Type it in the chat like before.
Is it black's move?
Oh, sorry, it's white to move.
Hello. Hello.
Where do you keep on go, Pranav?
What?
Where did you just land?
Okay, so let's start to go over this. So the correct answer is rook takes b7. So just like the one that we looked at before, we're basically trying to bait this rook into coming off the back rank. After rook takes b7, we go queen e8. Okay, and notice that this 8, so black can go king h7 because this white bishop covers that square.
Can the rook kill the queen?
Yeah, so after rook takes e8, then we just take with this rook, and this is checkmate, right? So we checkmated black king along the back rank, and black king goes king h7 because of this bishop. Okay. Okay, so let's go to let's go to some endgames now. So let's look at this position over here. So when we have this kind of position, okay, this is a king and pawn endgame. So white has a king and a pawn against a king. So one of the most important things to know is that usually you want to step directly back from a pawn. So when you're down a pawn in these king and pawn endgames, and it's just the opponent's king and pawn against your lone king. So usually you want to step directly back from the pawn so that you can save the draw. Okay. So here, let's just look at the other moves. Let's see why king f8 and king d8 are losing. Okay. So if black goes king f8, then white goes king f6. Okay. And then after black goes king e8, white goes e7, and black has no choice. So his only legal move is king d7, right? And after king f7, white just promotes his pawn.
Is white trying to go to the end
Yeah,
with its pawn?
yeah. Because if he gets his pawn to the last rank, then he can promote, right? He can promote to a queen, and he can just win the game.
But isn't there a king pawn checkmate?
No. So if black just goes here, then white can promote to a queen, and he can win with his king and queen.
It's having protection.
Yeah. Okay. And then in this position, so we go back to our original position. If black goes king d8, then it's like the same thing, right? So king d6, king e8, e7. Black has to go king f7 here, and king d7, and white promotes. Okay. So actually, the only move in this position that draws king e8. Okay. So king e8 is the only move that draws, because after king d6, so after king d8 we have the opposition, right?
If the pawn didn't have protection, the black's king could kill the pawn, white's pawn.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true. But we're not talking about this positions right now. Okay, so if we go back here, so if white goes e7 now, e8, okay, and you can see that we have like the same position as before. So we have this position, right? Yeah. So these two positions are the same, but the big difference is that in this position, it's actually white to move here. If it was this position and it was black to move, okay, then black would be losing, right? Because he would have to go king f7, and e7, and white just promotes. But since it's white to move here, white either has to step away from the pawn, which allows black to capture the pawn. So white goes like here, king c5, king c7, and it's a draw, right? So that's good for black. Or white plays king e6, which is stalemate, right? So does everyone know what stalemate is?
Yeah.
Force
Yeah.
draw.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, so stalemate is when you
King
can't
is not in
move.
check.
Yeah, the king isn't in check, and there's no legal moves, right? So if white goes king e6, then it's a stalemate and it's a draw. So in both of these cases, the game ends up being a draw, right? So this is really important to know. So if we go back to our original position, so just remember when you have a position like this, where it says king and pawn versus king, and you're on the defending side, where you're trying to save the draw, you want to go directly back from the pawn. So this is the only move that draws. King f8 and king d8 lose, actually. Okay. Okay, and then let's go to our final chapter for today. So we're going to learn how to checkmate with a king and queen versus just a lone king. So the easiest way to checkmate is with the box method. So
What about the L shadow shape method?
I think those are kind of the same thing.
What is it again? The L method?
Yeah, I just call it the box method.
Got it.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're basically trapping the black king in this box over here. So you can see the box we have made, right? It's this over here. Let's just say black goes king d5, we go queen f4. So we're like tightening the box, right? We're limiting the black squares. So king c6, we go queen e5, making the box shorter and shorter. King d7, queen f6, c7, queen e6. So as you can see, we're slowly limiting the squares the black king can go, right? King 8, queen 7. Now what we've done is we've trapped the black king on the back rank. So this is the last step we take before we bring our white king into the game. So our next step basically is to bring the white king in to deliver checkmate, right? We have to bring the white king over here, and we can deliver checkmate like that. So king c8. So black can go king c8. F2. So we're bringing the white king into the action. We're bringing it into checkmate, right? So basically what you want to do is you want to bring this king to this kind of 6th rank, okay? Or the 3rd rank from the edge of the board. And then we can just deliver checkmate with our king and queen. So for example, queen d7. So we win the game. Okay, so it's almost 5 o'clock, so I think we'll be starting the tournament right now. Okay, I'll post the tournament link in the chat, so
Okay.
everyone please join it.
Yay. Can you send the link in the chat?
Yeah, I will.
Tournament.